In this video, I am going to talk about the use case diagrams. So what are use case diagrams? Let's look at it. Use case diagrams. What is use case diagram? Use case captures the functional requirement of the system, what the system should do. The use case basically describes the interaction between the actors and the system. Now what does it mean? It means, now let me explain you who is the actor and what is the system. The system is that we are going to build at a place, and the actor is a user or another system, or even a time is considered as an actor. Okay, now as we go further, who is an actor? Actor is someone or something who has a goal to achieve by using the system. The something may refer to another system or even time. Actor is someone or something that is outside the system and is trying to interact with the system to achieve the goals of by using the system. Okay? Actor is always outside the system and wants to interact with the system to achieve its goals. The primary actor is the actor which starts the use case. That is what it means is basically the person or the system that will start the use case is known as the primary actor. Again, remember, the actors are always outside the system. No actors are inside the system. The actors would interact with the system to achieve their goals. The basic idea of the use case is to capture the goals of the actors in using the system. The use case has an active verb in it. Remember the circle that had an oval shape or the ellipse. It has an active verb in it. We will come to know when we actually continue later. So please keep that thing into mind. Please note that thing into your mind, and we will move to the next. Here it is. Okay, now use cases are supported by the written use cases. Now what are written use cases? Basically, when you draw the use case, it only gives you the picture from a very high level. What it means is that it will only show what is the basic process. It will show you a very high level picture, but it will not describe anything. To describe in the details, you have to write the description, and those are known as written use cases. The written use cases are nothing but how the system would interact, written in the common English, so that people who you are dealing with can understand. Mostly the people you are dealing with are known as stakeholders. Now, who are stakeholders? Stakeholders are people who are primarily interested in creating the system. They may be business users. They are basically interested in using the systems. And then there are other users who would like to use the system. So these stakeholders want to have their goals. They have financial goal to get out of the system. So these people will interact, and how these people interact, these people would become the actor of the system. How these people interact with each other, with the system, is written in the use cases. And we need to make these stakeholders and the user very clear what do the use case diagram means, so that we are very clear about the designing of the systems. So what does the use case in the written means? Okay, describe the step involved into interaction between an actor and the system, being with the primary actor. How does the primary actor interact with the system? You have to describe the steps into it. You basically start with the main success scenario or the basic flow. Now, what does it mean by starting with the main success scenario or the basic flow? What it means is that you will first write the basic flow is the flow which is from the very beginning to the end will end without an error. That is what is known as a basic flow, and that is what is actually you have to write down before you actually write down an alternative flow. So you have to write down from the very basic to the very end, as it was stated earlier that this is something that would be used from the very beginning to the end without an error. This is the ideal world situation where no error happens, but you write down those steps first. The basic flow is the process will take when everything will be working according to process in the line will begin to the end without an error. This is an ideal world scenario. Okay, now let's move to the next one. But we know that we do not live in the ideal world scenario. Things can go wrong, and they definitely do go wrong. So it takes an alternative path which is called an alternative flow. Now what is an alternative path? Let me explain it to you within very simple terms. Suppose if you are going to your office directly, okay, and you have to go from the point A to the B, but the problem is that you have a big problem and you have to go to the bank also in the morning. Now what would you do? You usually have to go to the office. That is the basic flow. You pick up your car, you drive to the office. But now in this case you have to go to the bank. So you will first go to the bank, and from there you will take another route and go to the office. Now instead of going to by the normal route to your office, you first took another route to go to the bank, and from the other route you went back to the office. That was the alternate route, alternate flow you do it by reaching to the same goal. So this is what an alternative flow is. Alternative flow does not mean that it will always actually join the main flow. Alternate flow may actually join the main flow or may get terminated depending upon the situation. Now there are exceptions. That is what is called the alternate flow may land up in the exceptions. Now what is the exception? The exception is that something may go wrong with the flow. Now suppose if you are going to the office, and from the office you are going to the bank, and from the home you are going to the bank, and from the bank you are going to the office. But while going to the bank you get a problem that your car has some big problems. You cannot take your car to the office. Now you cannot go to the office because the office is very far away, so you decided to take it off. Now this is where the situation has gone wrong, and this is where the exception has been raised, because now your process of going to the office has been terminated. Now what are extensions? Then there are extensions in which you may ask what other goals may come into the play here. Now suppose when you have most of the people have gone to the ATM, and whenever they have go to the ATM, they remove the money from the ATM. In the end, ATM would ask you whether do you want to print a receipt. Is an extension. It is giving you an extra facility, but it may or may not print the receipt depending upon what you provide the answer with. It is something like, when you are going to the hotel and you are ordering a dinner and someone says, okay, would you like to have a drink, sir, please? And you can say yes. That would be an extension of the service from the hotel or the restaurant where you are gone. Now let's move toward the real scenario of using the use case. I am going to use the Visio in this case, and as you can see, I have already created a use case using in this Visio. This is Visio 2010, but to explain you in the very initial stages, I will start with the something new, and then we'll continue with the this one, and I will close it, and I will say I will start, and you can see this is a UML 2.2 stencils. Okay, you can download this thing from the www.softwarestencils.com. This is a template stencil for Visio 2010 that you can get it from www.softwarestencils.com, and you can use it in your Visio 2010. Okay, so I just double click it. It is UML 2.2. Okay, now this is basically, it shows me the basic page where I can actually put my diagram, create a diagram here. Okay, and these are the symbols, and here is quick shapes. These are here, more shapes if you want. You can use it from here, whatever you want. This is basically the symbols of the UML, and we are only going to use the 3 or 4 important things for the use case. Others are for activity diagrams and many more, like sequence diagram and many more. Basically, we are going to use for the use case. So what we are going to use is basically the diagram frame. Okay, before I use the diagram frame, I can go to design and change the orientation to the landscape, and here it is our landscape, and then I can put the diagram frame here, and then I can extend it. The diagram frame is where the system would, this is known as a system, this is where the system, the user would interact with the system, this is where the system would be inside the frame. You can put by double clicking here, you can type a system here. And you will see that we have a system. You have could type any name, whatever you want. The actors. Now how do you resemble an actor into a UML? This is an actor. Okay, the actor can be an individual or a system or a time. The actor is always outside the system, and there can be other actors that would be actor requires to interact with the user case, would actually start a user case, and this is where the user case would be inside the system. As you can see, this is what the user case would be, and you can type. Okay, let's say apply for admission. Okay, this is what is actor is going to apply for the admission, and we are going to have a system that may be what you call a school system. Okay, he will apply for the admission. This is basically the use case. You can drag it from here and you can keep it here. Okay, this is what you can, and double click it to enter something, whatever you want, depending upon what your requirement is from that system. This is a user, and as you can see, when you right click, you can make it to the many changes you can do. You can make it to the relaxed actor, relaxed. Now this is a human actor, this is a system actor. A system actor, you can change it to the system actor if you want, or you can just write a system there, or you can say time actor. Okay, the time is also actor. I have already defined to you, and then you can say agent, a wizard, and so on. Now let's go back to the human actor. This is what is the actor. Now you want to draw a line stating the flow, so you use a line called a straight relationship. Okay, you make it, connect it from here, you drag it to this point. Now that you have to, if you want to connect, make a direction arrow changes to the right, you go and check and say navigate forward. Now we have got a navigated forward. Now suppose if you want to create another arrow from here, as you can see, and I can drag this arrow to here, and if I want, I will say change the arrow navigation backward. This is how you change the arrow, as you can see this thing. Now suppose if I wanted to actually use a line, draw a line and with the relationship with this thing, and there is a requirement for include and extend, I will come to it. And if I want to change the line format, I can say line format, I can change it, and I can click it OK, and you can again change it to this one if I want, or the other one. If I do not want, I have to click it again, and I can change it to the navigated forward. This is how you change basically the line format. And you can always use the, if you want, there is extension, there's constraint, there's realization, namespace, dependency, all these things are there. You can use it. You'll come to know how to use it when you use it in the details. Now basically we are working with only these things, so we will be requiring only these things in the place. So let's start finding out how the use case are made. Okay, now let's close this diagram and we will move to the diagram that I do not want to save it. I want to go to the diagram that I have created recently, that is for the use case. Now here it is. Now in this scenario, as you can see, I have let's say I just want to put them off so that we can have more space. Now I can see a lot of the diagram. Now this is a use case ticketing system. Basically you see there is a customer. The customer actually is going to use the interactive system we have, and we have on one side we have a call center representative who is going to interact with the customer, and then on the other side we have a payment process system. Now see, as you can see, this is our system. The system is in the box, and you can see that the actors are outside the system interacting with the system. Now the customer is the primary actor. It is going to start the system. What it does is basically it starts the use case by searching for the flights. This is the first thing he will do. When he finds that thing, he makes a reservation. Once he makes the reservation, he is connected to the call center representative. Then he books a ticket, purchases the ticket again by talking to the call center representative. He is talking and booking a ticket. He gets a ticket. Now the customer, purchases the ticket. Then once he has done it, he will make payment to the payment with a credit card. Now so far you can see that the arrows are going in this way. It is telling the direction way where it is going. Now in the case the customer is searching for the flight, the customer is making the reservation, the customer has purchased a ticket, and from here this also is active because again it is also representing, it is going to the call center representative, so he is also interacting with it. So you can see that the purchasing ticket has been getting related to the call center representative, but then the ticket gets to him, but before the ticket gets to him, he has to make the payment. The customer makes the payment with a credit card. Now you have to see that there is a validated process. It says include. Include is used when you want to use a process repeatedly, and you say, okay, this is a process, I am going to use it at many places. So you can use it at many places, and you can break that process and keep it, and you can say include this process. So now this process has been included in this process, and this process uses a payment process system that will actually validate the credit card, and it will send the confirmation direct notification directly to the call center representative, and the call center, if found correct, he will send a ticket by the email to the customer, and the customer gets the ticket. Now you can see that the customer gets the ticket. Now the thing is that basically a customer is making a reservation, but the seat preferences has been extended by the airlines or the people from where he is booking that ticket. So what seat preference does he want is an extended service, just very similar to whether you want to print the receipt after withdrawing the money or something like that. But there is another two extents that are known as include food, include drink, and when he is purchasing the ticket, they may ask whether you want to have the food, whether you want to have the drink. If he says yes, and that is extended into the purchase of the ticket, and then when he makes the payment, he has to pay for the drinks. If drinks were ordered, then he makes the payment. If he pays for the food, if the food was ordered, he also paid for the food, and the customer have made all the payment, and the payment goes to the validated card, and the card validated by the process system, and this is gone here again, and this goes to the ticket, and the customer gets the ticket by the email. Okay, this is how the use cases, and that's all that is there for right now about the use case. Thank you very much for watching the video. Bye bye.